All right, good evening, everybody. I'm attorney Biari Lamar, co-counsel along with attorney Ben Crump, who could not be present today. Also along with attorney John Maurice, who's also not present at this time. First and foremost, I want to introduce the mother of Brieon Green, who quit at the left. We also have the family of Brieon Green present with us today. In addition, we have the Milwaukee Alliance that's present. We have the Brieon Green Coalition. And we also want to give special thanks to all the community organizations, Von Mays, Tori Lowe, all the other individuals who have supported this family over the course of the last 5 months. What we have seen today was the traumatic demise of Brieon Green. This investigation, we believe, is long overdue. This family, the community leaders of this community have been calling for transparency over the course of the last 5 months. It's today, December 1st, in which this family has now received answers as to what exactly took place on June 26th of this year. What we witnessed is Brieon Green, who suffered from mental illness, from which this department, this county jail, had knowledge of, suffered from suicidal ideation on previous occurrences in which he was in custody, completely dismissed that knowledge. They completely failed to follow the protocols and adhere to the standard operating procedures that are purposed and put in place, not only to protect Brieon Green, but to protect us all. What we've seen today, on June 26th, those procedures and protocols were not followed. What we were able to witness was video surveillance taken from this facility, whereas Brieon Green entered into the facility, went through a booking process which we don't believe was followed adequately, and essentially 28 minutes later, utilized what was supposed to be an anti-suicidal phone cord and able to take that and put that around his neck and ultimately take his life. One of the most disturbing aspects of what we witnessed today is that this incident was completely preventable. We saw an officer go by Brieon Green's cell during the course of him taking his life. Brieon Green literally had a phone cord, strangling himself with the phone cord while a sheriff officer goes directly past the cell while he was supposed to be conducting a cell check. A cell check is, the purpose of a cell check is to, number one, to identify the cell, to see, to check on the well-being of the inmate. And that completely was not done. It was something too pressing, it was something more important for that deputy on that occasion, in which he did not even take 2 seconds to look through the cell to check on the well-being of Brieon Green while he was in the middle of the course of strangling himself with the phone cord. What the video is going to show once it is finally released is that you will see Brieon Green's body completely dips down and shifts immediately after the deputy walked by, after he was strangling himself with the phone cord. There were so many failures that we believe that, obviously we're still conducting an investigation. We do not have the entirety of the file. We're still calling for that to be released. We anticipate being able to have access to that material within the coming weeks. But again, this is a completely traumatic situation. It is deeply disturbing. I cannot believe my eyes and could not believe that there was a gross negligence with the complete indifference to a human life that took place at this facility on June 26th of this year. With that, I will allow the family, a couple members of the family, to give a couple statements about their observations, how they feel, and I'll take a couple questions thereafter.
We want to thank you all for supporting us, especially the Milwaukee Alliance and all the societies that came together to support us. This is the day that we've been waiting for. And we just wanted to know what happened. And in the midst of this happening, it could have been prevented. Somebody was standing right outside the door. Right outside the door. Didn't even look at him. Didn't even look at him. He was locked in the room while 8 other prisoners was sitting out in a common area, able to use a phone. And he was locked in the room with an inoperable phone by himself. We have to come together and change the rules, the laws that affect us. Because out of all the inmates there, they all look like us. They all look like us.
Hello? Jojo. Mary.
Thank you.
Sorry, those children.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Alan Chaboya. I am the outreach chair of the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression, or just Milwaukee Alliance for short. I am deeply disturbed by that video, by witnessing what occurred that day, and how Brieon spent the final moments of his life. You know, we've been demanding the release of this video, the release of the footage related to this arrest, to the booking. We were demanding for it to be released immediately. We should not be waiting 5 months for this. And it's still not even publicly released. Which I know once it's publicly released, you'll see, everyone who will see that will be pissed, will be infuriated, because this was completely avoidable. And that's one of the main takeaways from this. It was completely avoidable. As B. Ivory stated, one, you can see in the footage when Brieon begins to use the phone cord, and you can see his body shifting. But you can also see the correctional officer walk by and not take a single second to stop and observe. Not a second. He just walks by, does a quick glance, and continues on. Not caring about the life inside that cell. Not caring about who's supposed to be under his care. So this could have been completely avoidable. We should have known about this well in advance from today. That's what we've been fighting in the Milwaukee Alliance and with the Justice for Brieon Green Coalition to have this kind of footage released within 48 hours. We should not be waiting more than 5 months.
That's right.
And we should know the name of that correctional officer who walked by that day, who did not do his job. We need to know his name. That's what we've also been demanding, that those names of those people involved in cases like this be released in 24 hours. He cannot be walking around knowing that he could have stopped what happened to Brieon, what Brieon did to himself. And this is an issue we've been hearing nonstop from this building behind us, from the sheriff's office, saying that this is a staffing issue. Seeing that footage, as soon as the second correctional officer, which took about 37 minutes between that initial walk from that correctional officer who didn't do his job, 37 minutes after, when that second correctional officer walks by and notices Brieon's body, you can see a swarm of about 20 other correctional officers come by. So this isn't a staffing issue. They're not doing their job. So we demand better. We demand accountability. We demand the public release of this footage for the people to see what the sheriff's office is doing. This is a big problem. Brieon Green should be with us today. He should be with us. He should be alive. So we stand in firm solidarity with the family of Brieon Green. We've been with them and we'll stick with them. They deserve justice for what happened. There needs to be accountability. Thank you.
I just want everyone to remember 1851. 1851 is the time that my nephew took his last breath. 1851.
I also want to quickly thank the district attorney's office for their level of transparency as it relates to providing information to this family. From the time that Waukesha has provided the investigation and turned it over to the district attorney's office, I will credit them with being in contact with the family and being transparent and straightforward with counsel and setting up this meeting very quickly upon the request to do so once it was in their hands. So I definitely want to commend them for that. And it's that type of communication and bipartisan working together that we definitely need in this community to heal. I mean, obviously the circumstances in which Brieon Green died has been very suspicious from the beginning, and it is transparency is what this community needs to continue to heal and to continue to grow, to kind of prevent these type of situations from going forward. With that, I will take a couple questions.
Next steps.
Okay, go ahead.
Next steps.
The next steps are, obviously, like I mentioned, we are still investigating. We have not received the file at all at this point. We were privy to some of the documents, medical records during the course of the meeting today, but we will wait for that information to be completely turned over. We expect that to happen likely within the next couple of weeks.
So you weren't able to review the actual investigation of Waukesha, or were you able to actually view that file?
We have reviewed several files. We reviewed a couple statements that were made by some of the correctional personnel immediately following the incident that were provided, but again, we do not have in our possession the entirety of the file yet.
Any ETA on when the video or the file will be available for yourself and media?
We expect the video, surveillance video, in reports. There has been a number of open records requests by the media, also by the legal team. We expect that to take place and be turned over probably in the coming weeks.
Is there going to be any reprimands as far as the officer? Is there any conversation about that?
You know, that is something that I think that once the public has access to the surveillance video and be able to witness what the family and community members have observed today, I think that, you know, that can be, if that's something that is important to this community, that's something that they can call for. I can tell you that, you know, from our conversation so far, there has not been any discussions as far as charges been made by any type of law enforcement officials at this point.
Is that a possibility?
I think that is a possibility. I think that we will obviously need to get access to the full file. We need to look at the specific statements that were made. Obviously, we need to look at, you know, particular charges that could be brought. Obviously, the legal team has not had an opportunity to confer and be able to discuss those possibilities, but that is something that we look forward to doing in the coming weeks.
Now that this isn't the DA's responsibility to deal with the investigation.
Correct. Yeah. You know, like we mentioned, we do have an open dialogue with the district attorney's office, and that is something that we definitely are appreciative of. And we, you know, if we do feel like there is grounds after, you know, the family and others, the legal team have an opportunity to look at the full file, we definitely look forward to having those future discussions with the district attorney if we think that the actions merit charges.
In the discussions with the DA that you've had so far, has there been any specific policies that have brought up which may have been violated?
You know, the district attorney is looking at this issue solely on a criminal basis. Obviously, as far as culpability civilly is something that the Brieon Green legal team, myself, Attorney Ben Crump, Attorney John Moreci, will evaluate.
When it comes to the phone, I know that you said that it's supposed to be a phone or that it's decided with. Was it a different type of phone? Is there need to be a review of those phones themselves?
Yeah, you know, honestly, we have not had an opportunity. I mean, we just quickly had an opportunity to look at the phone, but I think it's comparable to kind of the old school pay phones with the kind of coiled cord on it. That is my recollection of it. I think it's comparable to that. All right. Well, thank you so much for supporting this family. Obviously, you'll hear more about this case coming up in the coming weeks. And, you know, stay safe. Thanks again.
What's his name?
Brieon Green.
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 What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What's his name?
Brieon Green.
What's his name?
Brieon Green.
Say his name.